big time. The world
I
structured
don't
that
know
way.
if that's something that we can necessarily just gauge. I mean, I think each person matures differently. So so like some people say women mature faster than men and shit like that. I just feel like people in general, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think
I
it's
gotta
kind of
put
where
that.
it should be at. Because 18 is about where you start to come into your own and figuring out what you want to do. And I mean, well, at least you should already know, I would assume.
Not
But
And you
me.
kind of
That
got
could
a
so
set
easily be
Well,
idea.
your
the issue is
indoctrination
that we don't
talking.
have a smooth transition. We have like a violent, rough
Yeah,
transition via adolescence, which you wouldn't have gotten, in a traditional society.
I
You
don't
have
know,
this
man. Have you ever seen
concept.
the coming of age ceremony in
Yeah,
most of the
well, actually, the coming of age
that's pretty
ceremonies
fucking
actually
drastic.
no, but what they end up doing is they end up actually that actually helps people manage it better, having like some sort of ceremonial
I thought
initiation
that's what the
idea.
graduation was.
Hmm?
Isn't that graduation? Don't we
you
do
don't
that?
have to.
No,
You don't
we
have
don't
to
do
prove
graduation
anything.
doesn't involve, painful ceremonies or things like you have
I
to go
don't
out and
know.
hunt a bear or something like that. Like, oddly enough, that actually teaches maturity at a much higher degree than what our society does. The problem in our society is that because we don't have a way to transition people into adulthood, basically what we get is this extended period of adolescence where they just become rebellious and good for nothing, and they cause a lot of trouble, which is what
But
you
how
don't
much
that's
is
at
do.
that on
least
the people that
interesting.
raise these kids as well? Because I feel like a lot of people don't tend to like feed their kids with real information until they get into a certain age where they really are rebellious to the information.
Yeah,
That's
that's another problem.
Well, but that's because the state and the technology kind of takes care of people when they when if you didn't do that, people would kind of just work their own shit out. You know what I mean? I mean, it's bad to say.
yeah.
I hear you,
Hey,
but
That's why.
Sanity Machine, I hope you have a reason for asking that and you're not just slinging bullshit around. Once this tab loads up, I'm deleting that motherfucker.
I'm sitting here with
Depends
$2.
on how much money you were raised with. People
Okay.
from third world countries and poor children have a tendency to mature quicker than people from children from first world countries and children from rich families. That's my opinion.
I don't know. I think it's all about discipline as well. Because necessarily just because you rich don't necessarily mean that you're gonna be just a privileged asshole or something, or just so pretentious and this, that, and third. Some people are actually brought up humbly and taught to never stop grinding, never be complacent. So I feel like it all depends on the family and how much they really care about the legacy and the journey of getting to success as much as getting actual success.
I think that our when you say that, I don't disagree with it, but I think our mental set point is too old. Let's say it's 18, right? 18 is the youngest in society that somebody's an adult.
Yeah.
You have done nothing except sit in a class and be bored out of any creativity you have.
I
You
feel
I,
have
you.
you have no skills. You don't
I
know
just
what you want to do because you've never done anything except for
agree.
Yeah,
your obedience training. You're
yeah,
solid 4 years into your reproductive years,
Okay.
right?
yeah.
You've got all the testosterone and aggression as a man that
Sure.
you'll ever have, and it leaks out in destructive ways.
But I also believe that when we talk about in adulthood, we get to the point where like when we jump all the way into a 16-year-old having a family and shit, and I feel like you gotta you gotta teach these motherfuckers something, bro. Because I think at the time, you know what I'm saying, like the average 16-year-old or the 1950s or 40s or some shit like that had some type of skilled
Right.
trade by
Right.
12 and shit
Exactly.
like
Our
this. So
culture,
you're not teaching a person nothing. So
we're
like,
not
yeah, like
teaching
I
them
was gonna
shit.
go into culture. Yeah, the whole
That right
culture
there.
of how we teach ourselves and how we raise up children is should be totally different. If we're gonna talk about throwing the kids out into adulthood earlier, it's got to be a
Agreed.
complete change. It can't just be a lower of age and that's it. The way shit is now.
That's exactly the point I wanted to raise. You're talking about somebody having a trade by a given age. By the time I was 12 or 14, I could raise a pig complete through its entire life cycle, right? Because I
Right,
grew up on a farm and I saw this taking
right.
place every day. I didn't need training for that because it happened. I
That's
learned
dope.
how to train dogs. I learned how to do this is all before I was 16. I could mend a fence. I could fix a tractor. I could start a car that randomly not started. Is that a trade or is that just skills?
That's letting a person grow up the way they should, as opposed
who taught you those skills? You know what I mean? That's the important part. I mean,
well, I had a father who was
exactly, and that's kind of the main point. Is like, you know, there's a manhood crisis in our culture. You know what I mean? And it comes from three stages. You know, it comes from the fact that men don't learn a skill or trade from their father. You know, they don't go to work with their dad. You know, their dad goes to work for the boss.
Yeah.
You know, and that boss, the kid doesn't really see the boss that the dad works for, you know, and he assumes that it's somebody more powerful than his own father, you know, so he gets this idea in his head, you know, and that's where this, yeah, and then you have feminism, which feminism is institutionalized. You know, it's taught in the schools, you know, it's taught in like grade school, you know, they teach basically feminism, you know, through social and emotional learning programs. You know what I mean? And then they have you know, basically another institution is the the Industrial Revolution, you know, which I brought up earlier, where they had to institute abortion so that the women could go to work because they were losing half of their work population. You know, so they said the women have to go to work, so we got to bring something in. So they had to bring in Planned Parenthood as a form of population control so that the women could work in the factories, you know, because they needed to double the workforce in the factory. And this is a historical fact. I mean, right?
I can't agree with you on that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like it's accurate, bro. But go ahead though.
No, it does.
It's just a historical fact. If you read UNESCO, you read the writings of Julian Huxley. I mean, you read why they made Planned Parenthood. You know, it was made for population control, and it was also made to get the women in the workplace. These people believe.
That's the part that I disagree with you. Not that it was a form of population control, the whole workforce thing, because that feel like two different time periods.
They absolutely.
But I don't know exactly. I'm not all the way 100%. It's not jotting in my head. Go ahead though.
No, I got you. Because see, what it's called is it's called Fabian socialism. You know, so basically a lot of world leaders instituted these programs, and some of them worked for the UN, you know, the United Nations, you know what I mean? And basically what they thought was, you know, in Fabian socialism, the concept is that the influence of family will always cause there to be hierarchical divisions within society because they want to institute equality abroad. So they said the influence of family is actually intrusive in that project. See, they want children to belong to the state so that they could receive education in the public school, you know, and they could learn what all the other little kids learn, and they could learn how to be a good citizen, you know, and if their family has influence on them, and their family tells them, no, you're Irish, or you're a a Hispanic, or you're a this or that, you know, then that's going to cause them to feel some sort of way, divisiveness, inequality towards their fellow man. They said the way we can get rid of that is to get rid of the influence of the family. And there's actual writings on this. You know what I mean?
How about your Margaret Sanger and
yeah, exactly.
Bill Gates' dad?
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's a fine example. Margaret Sanger and all those stuff. So you could actually read these writings and all this stuff, and you know, and I'm sure trad culture knows about a lot of this types of stuff too. You know, they talk about how women receiving higher forms of education will cause them to have less children. That's actually a efficient form of population control to send the little girls to school.
Worked in China.
Basically, it results.
So you saying basically like, well, which it is true that women with higher education are less likely to have children. But what is the alternative? Do we say we don't educate our women or something like? I don't know.
Barefoot and pregnant.
Hey,
Hell no.
they're gonna look
I'm
at
not, and I'm not saying that's
oh
what
look at
you're
the
saying. I'm
Muslim.
just
You know?
saying, but what is the
No,
alternative
I'm
to
not
that?
saying that.
If we talking
I'm
about
just pointing out the
the
facts.
solution, but I'm just pointing out because I'm a solutions nigga. I'm a solutions type of guy. I don't like just talking about problems. We
Yeah,
want to
we
talk
can
about
talk about
solutions,
solutions off air. Yeah.
Hey, off topic. Since I got both you guys here, man. Both you guys. What's your name? Machine Lies. Do you have a name?
Oh
Or is
yeah,
your
my
did they
name is
just call you-
Muhammad.
Oh, is it Mohammed?
Doesn't-
Yeah. Okay.
I'm also
Yeah, my name
Taylor.
is Muhammad.
Taylor and Mom. You guys. I was telling Flow State. I'm like, I think you'll grow more. You know, like all the old. You know, like the Joe Rogan Experience or whatever. Got his name in it. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Oh yeah.
Telling them.
And I have done it for a
Yeah,
while.
The show is that, but your name is something else. I'm saying.
Right.
Flow,
yeah, there's plenty
not
of people
Flow.
that done blew up without their name ever being known. It's in the spotlight. None of that shit.
Sort of created like a weirdness for me because then people like new people started calling me Taylor and old people started calling me Flo, or we're still calling me Flo, and it just like I don't know, it crossing the streams. I'm just
What's the
rolling with
most
it. I think you're
popular
right.
name in the world?
Never crossed the streams.
What's the
Never
most
crossed the
popular
streams.
name in the world?
What surname?
Muhammad.
Or
It's
first
Muhammad.
name?
Yeah, it's what's Shane last name?
Yes, it is.
Damn, man. You talking about in the world?
Yeah.
Oh, then all right.
Oh, if my Wi-Fi starts up, shit, I will lose it.
Is Cecil frozen, or is this just where he's chilling? Oh, nope, no, he's not. Just looking at the top of your dome, you hadn't moved your head in a while. It's a weird angle.
No, we were wondering about the reflection. It
We're
was
so used to your head bobbing up and down. When you didn't go up and down.
Is your name Neil and Bob, or is that what you do? I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't mean to do that.
No, you're good.
Hey, Joe Cool, are you a Chevy man or what?
Most deaf, yeah. My girl has a Chevy. I've been a Chevy man all my life. My old man was a Chevy man. I think therefore I'm going to be a Chevy man, right? And I'm always like Camaro, Corvette. I've always been,
Silverados. Silverados are the best trucks.
Give me a Chevelle every day of the week.
Chevelle, right?
Camino,
Silverado in the ditch last winter.
1969, 396 El Camino Super Sport Clone with like the full trim. Dude, it's beautiful.
My
I won't
dad
let
got
her
orange
give
and
me
white
the-
El Camino 73. The orange and white one.
Oh,
No, baby, the long wheelbase 69 that you can put a full freaking camper in with a fifth. Dude, are you joking? There's no comparison. That 396 has weight. All right, your choice.
Do you guys? Do you and Barbie Sasquatch live in the same house? Caucasian Sasquatch and Barbie Sasquatch. I just noticed that was the thing.
Not even the same state.
Oh, damn it.
yeah.
Dude, Flo, come on, let me play the
shoot, did I-
goddamn
I got distracted. Did I fuck up the game?
Yeah, let him milk it for a little while.
No, I don't even know this chick. She's some weird chick I
Paul
found
doesn't
on the
know that for sure or not.
Gave her a
For all
treat.
he knows, we do.
I mean, they may. I haven't been to either of their houses, so they may, for all I know.
Plus, Sasquatch can time travel. That's his Doctor Who tunnel right behind that one screen. He
That's
can hop
what the
over
jet
there.
engine falls through.
This is where I throw all of my shits I give. All of
Yeah,
them. Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Think about Hawkins radiation, man, but I can't bring it up. You'll talk about it. But, we kill a fucking panel.
We can talk about Hawkins radiation. I know a little bit.
That shit behind you makes me think about it, but ain't we going to kill a fucking panel?
I'll be interested to know.
The short version is nothing escapes a black hole. Hawkins determined that something did escape it. It's called Hawkins radiation. Technically, it don't escape it. It doesn't go past the event horizon, but it rips the molecules asunder, and one particle goes in, one particle comes out. That leaks out, bonds to other shit, changes things, and That's the
It's been
basic level.
bothering you since last time we talked, buddy.
What's been bothering me?
Bother? I don't know about
You just
bothering.
look across the
I'd
flat
love to
horizon
discuss
there
it.
and see it.
No, he's right. There is this point at the black hole where you have a mirror effect where part of something is ripped out and some part of something is ripped in. And at that point, there is a splitting of atoms, molecules, and even Planck constants where
Hawkins radiation. He's the one who
release,
named it. Yeah.
creating Hawking's radiation.
You guys seem very sure of this. Are you really
Yeah,
sure?
I can't say y'all talking about some damn fairy
Yeah,
tales.
I'm sure that I've read it. I haven't did any of these experiments myself, but I
Neil
read a lot
deGrasse
about
cool
that.
over here.
That I have read the math that leads to the concept of Hawking's radiation, and that it seems to check out, at least as far as I personally can check it, which, as Joe can concede, is probably a little further than most. But that's just a guess.
Yeah, I've been checking it out. So from I don't know, a long time back with the Tower of Physics. Back then it was more iffy. Now it's just total fucking consensus across the board.
That's what scares me.
Yeah, because what's going to be the next thing that's going to become consensus?
I don't know, but that's the way science works, right? Motherfucker thought one thing, they get a little more information and shit changes. I can't be afraid of it.
It's consensus.
Well, the problem is, the major problem is that they have two different physics. You know, they have one for the extremely large and one for the extremely small. You know, they got quantum physics for the extremely small, and they got relativistic physics for the extremely large bodies, and they can't really merge them both together as of now. So they just have two different parallel mathematical models that don't really fit together.
But they've been trying. They've been trying string theories, M theory, all like Sasquatch is talking about, attempts at a unifying field theory. They've just been unsuccessful at it.
I mean, they already made it up. You know, it's called dark matter. I mean, if you could believe that. 99.
Hey, whoever was trying to get
at some point, you got to make this shit up because how can you explain it?
Whoever was trying to get up this now, we got to split open on the panel.
You may be wrong, man. If you are familiar with the periodic table, they could predict that those elements would be there, and they already left the space open for them because they knew how things work. They knew something was missing. Then they found it later. That happens often.
You're right. No, that's correct. But we can go back to a simple mathematical premise: the Planck constant. When it comes at least to black holes, when you split the Planck constant, there's nothing but remainders left. All of those remainders are, by definition, isotopes. So you would end up with a radiation that is not quite definable. Hawking's
I've even heard that those breaking those apart could form new particles that aren't used to intermingling with the particles here, and perhaps form totally new particles and make new things possible. I've heard some really good theories on that shit.
You guys are getting tore up right now.
It's too derived for me. I have no knowledge.
Yeah, we can change. You should have never allowed us.
I'm not suggesting that you need to. I just let me ask this question.
Me and Joe should have our own show.
Stephen Hawking was a mockery.
Well,
you guys don't like him.
No. I don't know anything about him. I don't pretend to know anything about his work. I'm just saying that to present to the public as basically the pinnacle of intelligence, a guy in the robot shit.
Right.
He would tell you he famously made some very big mistakes. He bet another famous cat $50. He believed that the Big Bang would blow everything out, and at some point everybody at that time believed that it would slow down like any other explosion, and gravity would cause it to coalesce again, calling that the Big Crunch.
Bang theory doesn't make sense.
Let me tell you the Big Crunch. I could argue against it too, but when it came back, they call that the Big Crunch. Hawkins thought that time would literally reverse. As the things were pulled in, he thought that we'd go backwards in life, and he made a $50 bet on that he later admitted that was dumb. He's got some very famous mistakes he's made.
Well, it's
Well,
like
And the
this. Like,
snake,
look, I'll tell you guys a fucked up story. Like, what if I tell you guys, everything in that the universe itself is like 99.9% space.
I agree.
But
I know,
that space is more dense than matter itself.
which is why they come up
And
with
where
dark
did that
energy, dark
yeah,
matter.
and where did that shit come from? It came from nothing. And then get this. That nothing started from a single point and is now expanding. And that expansion isn't leading to anywhere. It's just accelerating.
it's the speed of
That's the
light,
dumbest
which
shit I've
seems to
ever
be
heard.
accelerating.
It doesn't explain anything
well,
about anything. But
you,
that's the
you know,
story they want you to
hey,
believe or
Machine
where
Bud,
I,
where
like
everything came from. You know what I mean?
you were talking
I
about how
that's just the theory, and people recognize it's the theory, and there are different theories, and especially now with people with the Webb telescope, we know that the way the universe is expanding in all directions simultaneously at the same time makes some of the Big Bang shit iffy. It's just a theory, man. These are
hey,
Everything
just
the Big
Machine,
humans.
Bang
hey,
is
hey,
totally made up. You know what
Hey,
I mean?
hey, Machine, what you were talking about yesterday about how you when you measure or observe anything, then the whole thing changes, right? Like it's like depending on how you
Heisenberg
measure.
uncertainty principle. Yeah.
There's a doubt in Joe's voice
How
now.
do you measure how far a planet is from here?
Well, the easiest
Shift.
color shift, or yeah, I think that Sasquatch said that. That's one of the easiest ways. Yeah.
Well, my point is, if you depending on how you're measuring stuff, depends on the results you're going to get too. Because like that's why I'm saying like, how do we know this math really adds up at the end of the day? You know.
Because we can predict that when a certain planet is going to be a certain place, it's because of the gravity of
But we're
other
using
planets in
tools
it.
though. But we're using tools. We're not using our senses. So we have to trust that those tools are really giving us what we think it's giving us. You know?
Joe,
Math
Like,
is our
Joe,
tool.
baby, will
Yeah,
you
and
do
that's a little.
this soon, please? I'd
Excuse
like
me.
to cuddle with you at night.
Can either of you explain an imaginary number to me?
no,
Yeah,
but
but
the
that's what I was
tools
showing.
change.
Yeah, that's what I was showing on my show the other day. Was Mandelbot? He made the Mandelbot set, and they had this famous problem where you
Mandelbrot,
can't measure.
Brot, Mandelbrot.
Yeah, exactly. And he presented this. He was presented with this problem about how you can't measure the shoreline. If you take a finer tool to measure with, you'll find new indentations. You'll get a longer measurement. So he said you can't measure the shoreline, how long it is, but you can measure the roughness of the topology of like how those little iterations change,
You're talking about
over
fractal
space.
geometry.
Fractals,
Fractal
exactly.
right?
Fractal geometry. Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes down to fractal geometry, all right, I'm a little bit drunk, but I'm going to make a run at this. Hello? All right. So fractal geometry.
You fucked up already.
Fuck
I'll
you, Joe.
accept it.
I'm going to do it. Fractal geometry basically states that a large sample of something directly imitates the reaction of a small sample of something. So if you take a macro version of a thing and you look at it, it will resemble the micro version of it and the normal scale version of it. So at miles, at thousands of miles, or at 1 mile, it will essentially measure out the same way. That is a fractal concept. I don't think reality is fractal.
Whoa. As above, so below, as within, so
Sort
without.
of.
When you look inside of your body, it looks like the universe. It looks like the systems are similar.
Right. No, you're not wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that it's most observable in things like fjord coasts, barrier strands of beaches, and like the desert Southwest drainage fields. These things are fractal geometries.
Look at the Barbie Sasquatch. I just seen monarch butterflies fly out of her head, because she seems like she loves this fractal idea. You know what I mean? You love this fractal idea, don't you?
I don't know how, like, I don't know how he doesn't understand that, because I just whenever they were saying as above, so below, I was like, wait a minute. So why does he not understand the way the universe? Carry on though. I'm listening.
I think she would agree. The big is like the small, and it's exactly what reality is like. That's what we've been taught.
Right.
What's his name? One of the pharaohs said, "You know why I am a god? I think they'd become gods by then. I don't even think it was king of the world. It might have been god of the universe by that point." He says, "Because I know the secret, as above, so below." And the last part of it was as within, so without.
I said God. You gotta start with God.
I don't think that would be a God's doctrine at all. At least I don't know.
If we're going to have the pantheon conversation, we can do that, but I think that might be a little bit of a different stream.
If we're talking about the building, I drew the frieze when I was in college. If we're talking about the building,
well, here's where I would argue though. Is like, how can we know?
True story.
How can we know what's going to happen? You know, in like light
Parthenon,
years away.
I'm sorry, the Parthenon. Yeah, go ahead.
How do we know what's going to happen light years away? But then, like this, all right, I'll give you an example. 3 days ago, they said no rain this week, and then it rained for 3 days in a row. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they don't even know what the weather's going to be tomorrow yet. They know like what's happening, you know, on the other side of the galaxy or the other side of the universe. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of
admittedly.
The real talk is that they already had these concepts before. Okay, they had the concept of basically dark matter because they called it the ether. You know, like you could look it up in ancient Greece. They knew about ether. You know, they thought space was like
aether.
Yeah. You know, they thought space was this super dense material that we were swimming around in, and then they didn't believe in gravity. They believed in electromagnetism, holding the planets together. And that's just as good of an explanation as gravity itself. You know what I mean?
The phlogiston. Do you want to have the phlogiston conversation? I mean, we can take that route, but I would rather not. I've been drinking a little bit, and I might stumble over some of those words.
I don't know. Instead of naming out these names, I think we should just have these conversations then, because I don't know none of them damn names.
You have the aether. The aether is a solid firmament that holds the universe together. And within the aether, you have the phlogiston, which is a fiery vitriolic element that makes everything break apart whenever it encounters it. However, angels, demons, and such things, they can pass through these things and come into our own quote unquote etheric sphere. Am I wrong?
It sucks, but all that sounds logical to me.
I think there was a truth drop in Ace Ventura 2, Pet Detective. I mean, when Nature Calls, he said, remember when he hawks a loogie on the guy and he says it's the mucus that binds us? That's the aether right there.
It says in the book of Enoch that there's angels that control the clouds and they let a little bit of rain out at a time. And if you look at the weather reports today, they can't measure the clouds. They can't predict 3 days of weather at a time. You know, nobody can predict the next storm that's coming. So I mean, you know, because it functions off of chaos math. Dude, you know, like game theory math, you know, because you can't measure the clouds the same way you can't measure a shoreline. You know what I'm saying? So it's on some shit where like science can't go there. You know, it just can't go there. You know what I mean? And there's places where science can't go. You know, it can't go to mind, you know, for example, you know. Science can't explain the mind. You know, it can't explain.
The weird thing about game theory is that game theory does describe chaos, but chaos theory cannot explain game theory.
I mean, this is God's technological realm that we're living in. You know, it's like
I'm not wrong. You know, I'm right.
I disagree.
The Heisenberg uncertainty principle. That sounds like you're talking about with the
exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. I just didn't say that. I said it the way he would understand. The rest of you crackers use it.
Yeah, it's crazy when they got the character in the show Breaking Bad. You know, they got the Heisenberg character, and he walks out of the thing with the hoodie on, and he puts the you know, like I think he like puts like some sort of organic material in some box or something and makes some building explode. You know, so he's like a terrorist, you know, and they're showing him as you know, Ted K, you know, because they're showing him with the glasses and the hoodie, you know, so it's crazy that they use that image of the
wow.
Unabomber
That is
right in that
interesting.
scene right after he
Wow.
blew up
I
the
don't watch the
apartment.
show, so I didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's in the
was
show.
trip.
You know, they use Teddy K in the show like
No, I didn't know.
right when he becomes the character Heisenberg.
All right.
You know, and in the show they're using it as an allusion to that physics
Right.
shit, because the dude is a chemistry teacher in the show.
Right.
So
Right.
he's talking about the Heisenberg.
You know, I heard. I've never seen the series, but the fuck is all over the place, and I watch
Yeah.
YouTube all the time, so I know about it. And I heard that's where his name came from. That
Yeah, he recreates himself
Heisenberg.
as a mob boss, and the name he takes as his mob boss character is Heisenberg. And some shit.
Oh, so like that show's supposed to be Ted Kaczynski? What's his name?
Yeah, yeah. They show him like with the hoodie and in the aviator glasses, and he's leaving the building right after something blows up.
No
and that's
shit.
when he becomes Heisenberg. I don't know. For people who saw the show, they'll know what I'm talking about.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I hope you're not
I know
asking. I don't want dude misled. I don't think he's saying that it follows Ted Kaczynski's life and it's supposed to show how Ted Kaczynski's life. That wasn't the question. I don't think.
Did you ever
This
read
is
that
all
thing that he
other-
wrote?
Yeah.
Kaczynski?
Yeah, I read some of that crazy
That was
shit.
trip,
Yeah, I
man.
study that. Yeah, we study that on my show.
Oh, maybe I heard it there.
I heard that his mentor had a lot to do with that. His teacher was doing experiments of his own, and he used Ted as that. And I had read Ted's writings first, and after hearing about how fucked up his teacher was, he set out to intentionally gaslight him and belittle him and things like that. It's like he did create Ted, and Ted, he was angry about the institutions and shit.
Well, but that's how that's why I'm kind of anti-education, because I think a lot more of the education system really gets like that. I mean, when you go to college and you try to study like a real like heavy duty shit, like you get hazed by these fucking professors, man. They do not want you up in there disagreeing with shit. They pretty much like they're there to railroad you if you cross the line.
Like a cop, you're supposed to learn what's structured, and if you rebel, you will certainly not be rewarded, perhaps even punished, but you will certainly not advance and shit as the motherfuckers who just take their indoctrination like they're supposed to.
Yeah, there's exceptions to the rules. I mean, I know Machine Lies knows exceptions to the rule, but the rule, I think, in general is like you kind of see the way things are. It's like they don't really want people coming and changing the order.
Or how much of the truth is indoctrination and how much is actually true?
Any good lie is going to have a lot of truth in it.
Yeah, this makes sense, right? The best ones will have at least some truth in it. Some college professors or jobs or whatever, it's easier.
So is the globe the excellent lie or the fundamental truth?
I just really been jumping on flat earthers lately. I already feel bad.
Instead of bringing up flat earth, let's just talk about the globe for a second.
Simple math and simple observations will tell you that it's a
Simple,
globe, man.
why would we keep calling this shit simple when we know damn well it's not?
No, it is very simple. I'm sorry, I disagree.
Yeah, it's simple.
From the sun, you can drive 100 miles. You have a car. Do you own a car?
My bad. Everybody does own a car. Yeah,
in a couple of few hours, you can drive 100 miles. If you can move 100
Nixon from the moon.
north and south.
You did a good job going to the moon. Good job. Like, you think they made
Good
a phone
job.
call?
It's Kubrick's best work. But if you can drive 100 miles,
there you go. But the rest is true. Like,
define the outside.
Say my feet are real, my legs are fake. You know what I mean? The whole thing's bullshit.
If I drive 100 miles, I can do what?
Yeah, if dude would stop talking over him and let him talk, yo.
Yeah, let the man talk, man.
That's joking's purpose. He wants to try to kill the globe idea, and so he just speaks over anyone who talks about globe or anything. But anyone would basically,
I wouldn't be nodding my head. That shows extreme weakness. You're nodding your head like, yes, I can't hold with logic. I got to do that. Stop that, man.
Just go outside, splat.
basic geometry. Look up.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who is the triangle guy? Isosceles. Go check out Isosceles. You can fucking work out the Pythagoras. That's a good one too.
Pythagoras, that's the one.
My bad. I've been drinking since like 9:30. All y'all equally. I'm still on par. We're doing good. Joe, am I not doing good? I'll leave immediately if I'm not doing good.
Listen.
Did you ask if he was a triangle guy? Are you a triangle guy?
Isosceles triangle when he was talking about the Pythagorean theorem.
What he means.
Maybe.
My buddy.
Okay, what's the simple experiment though?
Okay, so if you can travel 100 miles north and south, if you go to the north, you pick a given day. You can't do this months apart. You have to do this like one day, then the next, right? Preferably the same day if possible. Not always possible. So 100 miles north of wherever you live, drive a
Already
station.
sounding less simple, but my bad. Go ahead.
No, it's just simple and logical.
Relatively simple. It's just that it takes a wide range.
Okay, have you done it?
Yes. Back when I was in school, we did this whole thing with my science teacher. He was a little bit of a nut, but we went and did this thing, and he looked at us and was like, okay, so you measured that, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you measured this, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, okay, what's the difference? I'm like, 26 degrees or whatever. He's like, why? So I had to sit down and work out why it was that there was a 23.5 point degree.
Oh, I don't understand. What did you do?
Measure shadows.
Preferably at noon, you measure the shadows. You can do it at any given time, but at noon, it's easiest. 100 miles north, 100 miles south, and where you live. On the same longitude, you'll end up with a triangle that points straight at the source of the sun. Basic triangles.
Okay.
Nothing extreme. Nothing
If my
amazing.
microphone is the sun, and I drive
You
here,
go.
and then I drive here.
Longitudinally, specifically.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying? Like we're still just moving to different.
You are, but on a globe, you will move to different angles than you will on a plane.
Wait, hold up. A globe and angle does not make sense.
It
Because
does,
globes don't have
even
right,
on a
it's
round
have
surface.
the
my
top
dear.
of-
On a round surface, you still have to take into account the angles. I'm sorry, I can't help
So,
that. That's a very basic premise here.
What is the triangle that you're supposed to
No,
problems?
I get it. I do.
So what is the result that you're supposed to get from the shadows here?
So it gives you the ability to measure using the speed of light and the angles of descent of both of the shadows specifically. You can determine how far away the sun is from the surface of the earth. Because you have
it's like a basic like shit in like trigonometry. Like that's
Yes.
like
Exactly.
But you can't do a Pythagorean theorem because you only have one variable.
No, you have two variables because you know where you are on the north and you know where you are on the south, and you can calculate the angle of the third variable.
Where you are on the north, that's the same axis. North and south is the same axis.
Okay, you're not wrong, but it's a triangle. It's not a square.
Right. You have 2 points, which
2
gives
points.
you one side.
One side, which gives you an angle to the source of light. The source of light is the third point. The angle of the shadow is the angle of attack.
So we've got the two inside angles. And
It doesn't matter. It's a triangle. Once you have two angles, you can fix the rest.
Man, somebody's got to. But you don't have enough. You don't have enough variables, though.
Once
somebody in chat, is anybody want to draw this out?
Curve. I'm not going to say there's not a curve on this. There is a curve because you are on a globe. If you're not on a globe, this would not work. And so there's a curve, and I can't tell you the specific angle because
you understand how that's not a very convincing argument. This thing
how that could be a problem, but if you can go fuck yourself equally.
Well, that was a valiant attempt to prove something that We've had
here's
this
one.
talk before too, and the last time I was equally as confused because you don't have enough variables.
I know. We ended at exactly the same
Yeah,
spot,
yeah.
having the same conversation. It's okay, dude. I forgive
What
you.
I
You were
thought
sweet
this
for
one
them.
would end the flat Earth debate alone. When you watch the sun set every day, the flat Earth argument is it disappears into the sky, and it gets so
I mean,
tiny you just
we
can't see
did.
it.
We
But in
showed pictures
reality,
last
we
time you're up
see it.
here.
Yeah, we see it drop down big every fucking
Well, it
night.
does both. And Barbie sent pictures over, and I shared it on screen that she had taken where the sun is really small on the horizon.
Wait. It does not do both. You've never seen it in your life vanish into a pinpoint. That's not a thing. It would have been on the news.
It wouldn't be a thing, would it? It's the source of light. You're not going to lose sight of it until it's like gone.
No, but that's what's supposed to happen. But you watch it drop down behind something while it's still visible, while it's still big enough to absolutely big enough to see every day.
Conversion.
I
Or
don't know
perspective. It's perspective, right? I mean, we this is simple shit.
Joe, I want you to do me a favor right now. Just breathe cleanly. Just breathe.
Breathe that joint, man.
I'll smoke some more.
Yeah.
I thought that
it's
would like
interesting.
end the conversation and everybody be like, "Oh, you're
I
right."
personally have never. This has never been my fight that I want to be in, because it's just too much for people to get over, right?
Yeah.
So I never try to convince people of this. That said, I do find it fascinating how irate Globies get, and how
It's really fun to me too.
and how irate NASA people get when I scumbag NASA.
Yes.
There is nobody who was more outraged than a NASA lover when you say we didn't go to the moon. They come unfucking glued.
No, there's nothing funnier than a flat earther retreating to, when you show them something that's real, retreating to NASA lied to you. Like all knowledge is built on
different
NASA.
topics.
That's just hilarious, bro.
They're different topics, and I'm still waiting for that proof.
Which proof?
So y'all think we went to the moon? Why we ain't went back?
Why come there's not a picture?
Why'd we go the first time?
I didn't say we didn't.
Just one picture is all I want, and I'll be with it.
We answering questions with
Prove
questions.
it. With it. Yeah, I'm with it.
90% of flat Earth arguments start with "I saw this video."
This
how
obscure
90% of
black and white
everybody. That's how
shaky
everybody gets
Patterson
all
footage
information.
video.
I mean, I think every
Just
other
like
argument
that,
would be I
and just
learned
like
in
that, we
school.
summon the man
Most
himself.
of them will be I learned in school.
I can show you a clear picture from the
If you
space
mention flat
station.
Earth,
Welcome to
if you
the
mention
He will
Mandela,
arise. He will show.
Explains it better than Dave.
Dave, teach these knuckleheads something.
What's going on with you folks on here tonight? Is he still
What's
going
going
on about
on?
that pinpoint, son?
I talk
Is he
over
still
it.
going
like-
on about that pinpoint, son?
He is. And even
That's-
though last time he was up here talking about this, Barbie sent a picture she'd taken herself where that sun is tiny just above the horizon.
As if I gotta look at a picture. I see the sun every fucking day. You see it every day. If I ask you what the sun looked like, you could tell me. If someone sent you one fucking picture, you change your mind suddenly? What?
I sent him about 20.
I didn't change my mind.
Well, we know the
I mean, the
sun
sun to the
goes
sun,
down.
the
It's
sun
still
looks
this
significantly
big
smaller
every
in that
time
picture.
it goes down at night.
It
It's
does
massive.
both.
It's
Regardless
never when the
of the
sun,
model.
when it goes poof. That's never happened in the history
Smoke
of
more weed.
mankind.
Smoke
Stop
more weed.
it.
Smoke more weed. Regardless
No,
of
it's the fun part.
of which model, it will drop and it will shrink in both of them.
No,
Yeah.
there is no flat Earth model. First of all, it's not a thing. Stop it.
What does Cecil think?
Yeah, I need like 6 of them to make it work. You know, how does the sunrise? You use one model. How do the seasons change? You use another model. Where's the moon? You use another model. It's crazy.
All right. Now pretend Cecil's head is the globe.
Yes.
It's way too shiny, bro. We're gonna have to
Yes,
get a
that's why you can't see the
Can you rub
stars
some
on the
dirt on
moon.
it so it's more realistic?
Yeah, you need to dust it up. All right, that's good.
It's too much light pollution, man. We can't take pictures.
Look at Cecil's head.
All right, now
So-
draw America
Boy,
on
it's
it.
shiny as shit, ain't it? You put like turtle wax on it.
Don't forget
Well,
Bimini. We got to have Bimini in there. Go ahead and put a dot on Bimini.
But you do understand how the inverse square law of light works, right? When it comes to like the brightness of the moon.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, who doesn't understand that?
Everybody understands that. It's
Well,
just
I mean that the lumens get exponentially more the closer you get to the source of light. Okay, and it's an exponential amount. So if you can actually read a newspaper headline under the full moonlight from an object that's supposedly 237,000 miles away, almost 250,000 miles, then what happens is you have to double the amount of lumens for every length of distance, for every time you half the distance or double the distance. And so what happens is we had guys supposedly go and stand on a moon that really should have been burning their retinas out.
I bet you that sounds anyway. I bet you can't tell me why the moon lights up at night.
That's right.
You cannot, correct?
That's right. It's its
Can you
own
tell
source-
me why the
it's its own
sun
source of-
shines?
It's its
Can
own
you tell
source
me
of-
why the sun shines?
No, can you?
Joe, hold on, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you tell me how the sun shines, Joe?
Hold
What
on,
is
let's
the
ask.
source
We're
of
in
the
nuclear
energy of the
fission,
sun?
but we're going to move on to another point about those guys standing on the moon, not getting their eyeballs fried out of their skulls. They were all
No.
wearing helmets. If they weren't wearing helmets, they would have been sucked into a tiny vacuous ball.
Have you seen the photographs from the moon?
I do
Yeah,
have
they have
it's-
video,
Never landed
photographs.
on the
Yeah.
moon.
that is Kubrick's best work.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you know, what we saw is in no way reflective, no pun intended, of what we should have actually seen in that. Yeah, that's what my camera.
From the guy who thinks the sun vanishes into a pinpoint every night. How valid is your fucking scientific?
Nobody said anything about. You're
formulas?
the only one, Joe. You're the only motherfucker on here that has said anything about a sun vanishing to a pinpoint. You're the only one.
Well, you might not have said it tonight,
You
but we
don't
argued about it
understand. You don't.
for
Do you
6
understand?
hours the other night.
Do
and
you
then you
understand?
brought
Because you don't understand hyperbolic geometry.
Hyperbolic geometry. Can
Yeah.
you give at least a small like crib course in this real quick?
Sure,
Like,
absolutely, absolutely.
May I have 10 minutes to learn this?
Sure. I mean, it's not really all that hard to learn. In fact, I've got a video on it if you want to see.
We'll be looking.
It's because what you demonstrate on paper often is two-dimensional orthographic geometry,
Right.
which is not taking into account the
Spherical
perspective of
geometry.
the observer. Now, what we see in is a hyperbolic state or an isometric state, if you will, a three-dimensional.
Hypercurvature.
Everything comes in and converges
Yeah,
to
as
the
cone.
center in our board. Right. So when
Right,
you're
right,
looking
right.
at
I got you.
okay, so when you're looking at two-dimensional geometry, you're showing an observer here, and you're showing the sun go across here. Well, that's not
Okay.
absolutely true to the perspective of the viewer. And that can be demonstrated when you start to understand that all lines are going to converge. And
All lines
so these things-
converge at
right.
a vanishing point away from
Right.
the observer. And so
Right.
you're trying to dictate gravity as being a defining point of observer.
No, there's gravity. What's that got to do with it?
I'm just trying to figure out where your basis of measurement lies.
Yeah,
Speed of
gravity
light,
doesn't have
is
a
the speed of light the point of distance for the observer?
No, you have a limited.
What's the limit?
About
What's the limit?
About 3 miles. You have about 3 miles.
3 miles?
Across the horizon, absolutely. To be able to resolve an object. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
can
not
see the
laughing
Sears
at you.
Tower at
Yeah.
6 miles from my house in Chicago. I can not the Sears Tower now. It's called the Willis Tower. I can see it from my house 6 miles away.
I have a quick question for Joe in between Dave's school and everybody. Real quick. Joe, why just a quick thing. How come is it that what is it about flat earthers you love so much that you spend every waking hour
Oh, it is
live
entertaining.
online.
I don't know.
You're
Okay,
hanging
here,
out with
this.
flat earthers. No, honestly,
I'll,
good luck.
tell you. I'll give you
Farm,
the truth. This is
good
the truth.
conversation.
It is the child in me. It is the troll in me. I cannot resist a motherfucker who can't understand third grade math trying to explain to me pressure in the gas chamber. Nothing could be fucking funnier. Here, now keep going. This is the truth. The cognitive dissonance that they must live in. I could poke at that shit forever. It is so fucking entertaining, bro. I can't get enough of
You're
it.
getting angry. Joe's getting angry.
You said it don't make it so.
Angry.
This will explain what I'm talking about right here. What was the guy's name that was just talking to me? Yeah, there it is. I can't read that. It's so small.
The white guy, the black guy, which one?
The white guy.
That would be Caucasian.
Oh, Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Wookie man. All right, check this out.
And then it hit me.
Yeah, no, I get it. Right.
Hang on.
Okay, so that bottom line is round.
Watch.
Round. The ground is round. You've broken the math at the very beginning because the ground is round.
I've been
Okay.
discussing on my couple of my videos about this notion that the sun would never make it to the horizon, and a couple people showed me diagrams, and I hadn't come up with a really good illustration to completely debunk this idea until now. So that's why I got inspired to do this video. Yeah, first of all, let me just say I don't know how high the sun is, so I'll just go with the 3,000.
He's got to say that through the gate, right?
And
Right? We don't know certain things because
he's got to make it super low for his logic.
We're not figuring a distance, Joe, so stop fucking kvetching. Watch for the information that's being
provided. Angles?
You can't absorb the information. Listen, you can't absorb the information if your mouth is running, right?
I'm the mad guy.
So this is what I was trying. This is what I was trying. This is what I was trying to get through to you the other night.
You know, sometimes people stop and talk while a video is on. They usually don't get yelled at and told to shut the fuck up.
Joe, that's because you're taking they have to say that. We're not figuring out a height, Joe. So instead of looking for what's wrong, absorb the information. This is why you don't get any information, is because you're too busy trying to refute it in your head and figure out what you're going to say.
And I'm the mad guy. I can understand dumbicity quickly. I see where it's going, and it's dumb.
Is it? Where's it going? Where's it going?
It really is. He's going to say the sun can only be like 6,000 feet. Therefore, it vanishes into what seems like the horizon because it was high in the air.
Wrong fucking answer, Joe. Missed it.
We'll see.
Once again, your attempt
we'll
at
see.
telling the
We'll
future.
see. I don't need
your
your
attempt at telling the future failed again.
All right.
Okay.
Let's
so
see.
stop trying to tell the future.
Listen, if you start with them ad-homs, bro, I'm better at it.
It looks good.
Ad hominems just don't work, man. They don't work.
There's a couple things true about it, right? It's showing the sun traversing over the ground, over the flat earth, and it's parallel to the ground. So it had that going for it. And it's showing that when the sun is further away from you, it angles down, just like perspective. Same as this guy, Daz, the cameraman or something is his name. He has a video out and he shows this picture. And it's the same thing. It still shows a parallel sun to the ground, and instead of moving the sun, he's moving the observer. But it's the same diagram. If you flip it upside down, it looks like identical. Anyway, so it's the same notion. So I was a little bit perplexed. I was like, wait a second. You know,
it works on a globe if you flip it over.
I know it's wrong, but I was like, wait a minute, it's got perspective. So I thought, and then it hit me. What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture is that they are attempting to calculate visual angles to the sun from a non-visual, non-perspective drawing. So the drawing is not taking the visual perspective of the observer into account, and that's what's wrong with this diagram. You see, you cannot calculate visual angles to convergent positions, which is where the sun is from the observer, by using non-convergent parallel lines, which is what they're doing in the diagram here. They have two parallel lines, and they're drawing visual angles.
Who made the diagram?
It's true that this drawing is an accurate representation of actual relationships and positions of the observer to the sun, but it's a non-perspective side view representation. So this diagram is not accurate at all as it relates to the perspective of the observer. So if we add perspective lines, we get a complete.
Oh, wow. It disappeared into the horizon, like I said.
Wow.
All right, Joe.
Amazing.
Hang in there. Hang in there. Quit grasping, Joe.
It's not an illustration.
So far, I'm right, huh?
Reality. Okay. This that they put up here, although it has a lot of truth, in it, showing the parallel sun and all that, it's nothing but some geometry. I mean, they're showing us some angles, but it has nothing to do with perspective and how we would see the sun. So it's bunk. So in this next slide here,
he said shit. What is he talking about? Debunked.
Joe, he's going to do it. Hang in there. Stop reaching and kvetching. Just hang tight.
Fetching. It's fetching. It's fetching. Use your.
The way they're representing the sun as staying parallel to the ground is not correct. The sun would follow these perspective lines, and what they really are is spatial planes, right? They're invisible spatial planes that are around your z-axis. Now your z-axis goes from your eyes, a straight line out from your eye in any direction. Okay, that's your z-axis. So anything parallel to that will start to converge toward that focal point or the horizon, right? In line with that z-axis. Everything does. Any lines going away from you are going to all converge. Yet this diagram that they show us, saying that these are the visual angles to the sun, have no convergence. The lines are parallel. So look at these parallel lines and look how they converge. They completely go against this geometric drawing or these angles and these formulas. They don't work.
Can we pause this so I can tell how stupid it is?
Please, pretty please.
Bring him to this video.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This is absolutely nonsensical for a host of reasons. First of which, I've seen planes fly. This is why you had to have the sun low. If it's high at 60,000 feet and shit like that, when it disappears, it happens to the same thing as a plane. Planes don't disappear behind the horizon. This logic is dumb. Plus, according to you, Cat, you can only see 3.5 miles. So the sun, again, must be close to you to disappear so fast. If it's miles high, if the sun is really high, it goes so far you're not supposed to see it after 3.5 miles. None of your logic holds.
How fast is the sun going, Joe?
Yeah, we will have nothing to do with what I
it
just
does
said.
have everything to do with it, Joe. Oh, what's bigger, an airplane that you saw flying or the sun?
Oh, now big things matter. I thought I couldn't see more than 3.5 miles.
Which one is bigger? Which one is bigger?
Perspective.
Well, Saab, you have a lot of questions. Do you have any answers? You tell me. Wait.
I know the fucking
I'll answer afterwards. How big is the sun? Well, tell me. You tell me how big the sun is.
I have no idea.
Well, then you kind of, asking me a question which you have no idea the answer to.
Well,
if I say the sun's the size of an orange, I may be right. You don't know.
Safe to say that the sun is bigger than an airplane.
I don't know about you guys. You probably think it's, I don't know. All right, be nice, Joe. Be nice.
Do you think it would be safe to say that
no, Joe, please,
is bigger than an airplane?
Release the monster, baby.
Don't do that. Don't do that, man.
I mean, it's common sense, man.
I would agree. Let's play the rest of the video, bro.
All right.
Show them this picture. And
I will stop.
Photograph is the reality. That's how we see everything. So this.
You see how all the lines from the bottom down start to appear like they're going up straight along. It stays parallel with his vision. All the rest of this starts to converge to that point as it goes off into the distance.
All right.
Going away from you parallel to the ground and then calculating your angles to the sun based on that is wrong, and it doesn't work. Okay, and quickly notice with this line of converging parallel lines or planes, notice how the higher up they get, or the further away they get from the yellow line, which is your z-axis, notice how they orient themselves more and more vertically and less horizontally. Also notice how all the lines converge at the same point, the vanishing point. It doesn't matter how high they are, they all go to the same place, which interestingly enough means that no matter how high that object is going away from you, it visually goes to the same place. Okay, here's the wall of lines again. Notice
No shit, the sun and the stars set behind the horizon. He's brilliant.
But from the observer, which is this little guy down here, this is what these parallel planes or parallel lines would look like. They just happen to be represented by these wooden planks, right? But that's actual perspective. What they represent as the sun up here traveling parallel to the ground is not perspective. Yet
I'm sorry. My wife has ordered me to stop cringing so much.
Perspective drawing, right? Their maths are based on
Keep making noises. I'm sorry.
Right, two parallel lines. Well, you can't, because that's not the perspective of the observer. The observer sees these lines, the converging.
He's just being redundant. We get it.
So as you can see, this is the reality, the one here where the sun travels down. The green sun's here.
I can say I understand what he's trying to explain, but I really don't.
Yes, but that goes against their 3.5 mile vision thing, and it makes the sun massive, which supports our argument again.
Right? Look at their sun.
Dude, I'm not even saying the sun's anything in particular. I'm just saying it's a source of light that a given distance.
Even though they appear to be converging,
Great.
they represent different altitudes.
Like he's showing the observer.
I think we've lost the class.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, agreed.
I do. I'll stop. I'll go away. I'm sorry.
And here's the thing. I don't know. Actually, Dave's probably had luck convincing people. It doesn't seem like anybody changes their mind until like.
No one's gonna change their
But
mind.
we're gonna drip on it.
Hey, Dave. By the way,
calcified.
Dave,
Yeah.
I looked up that name, Ron Nodell or whatever it is, the guy from the Netflix thing.
Bob Nodell, yeah.
Someone's got some shit going on, electrical shit going on in the background.
The fan.
All right, can you mute your mic, whoever that is?
Amen.
Let's all mute.
All right. When we talked a day or two ago, we had talked about how he got bust out with the gyroscopic evidence, where they bought this, I don't know, $20,000 gyroscope, and it showed that they were wrong. And you told me that his words were, "The movie lied. I never said that, and actually, I said it worked for us." Which is not what he said. Some chick recorded what he said, and he said, "Keep it between us," and he did not. And what he said was, "This is really bad. We just spent $20,000 on this. We can't accept these findings," and blah blah. And the opposite of what you said.
Were you paying attention when I played the video by Bob Nodell regarding that?
Well, I wasn't finished. You jumped in. All right. So it seems to me that this guy who had this meeting with this woman and said, we got to come up with something because we've been bust out and it's the end of the world. It seems like he would come up and say, "No, I never said that. What I really said was," when you got him on tape and everything happening there, he's coming up with that as a desperate out because